Hi, so today I'm going to talk to you about toilet training. For toilet training, you will need a trained marker, which could be a verbal marker or a clicker or perhaps a hand sign, lots of tasty small and chewy treats, a lead for your dog, pet stain remover, not general household cleaner. The reason you want pet stain remover is because household cleaner can contain ammonia, which we can't smell and gets rid of germs, but for a dog, when you spray that over something they've weed on, the ammonia actually makes the wee smell stronger, so it becomes almost like a urinal and they just like to mark over the top of it. So a normal household cleaner can actually encourage peeing indoors, which is definitely what you don't want. You want some puppy pads or an old newspaper perhaps. If you're using a crate, then you want a crate that your dog can stand up in, that they can turn around in, and that they can have water bowls in. Also eco-friendly poo bags. Now at Lox Dogs we pride ourselves on being eco-friendly, and the poo bags that we use are made of cornstarch, which are actually quite a lot thicker than the normal plastic ones, and they rot down in your bin over time. So they're actually a lot better for the environment than plastic ones. Now remember, if your dog toilets indoors, they're not doing it to annoy you. Dogs are not born knowing that A, their toilet is anything that needs to be done anywhere in particular, and B, they definitely don't know the difference between doing it indoors, outdoors, or anywhere else for that matter. They don't understand that we have an obsession with keeping our houses very clean and not full of poo and wee. And so to them, toileting is just toileting. They're really not doing it indoors to annoy you. They don't know the difference between doing it indoors and outdoors until you tell them. Now, some people use really harsh and outdated methods of training, you know, the ones rub your dog's nose in it, all that sort of stuff. Now, the thing is, if your dog has an accident indoors and you do something like rub their nose in it, that doesn't tell them they have to toilet outside. All that tells them is that they have this natural bodily function that they can't help, which somehow makes you go crazy and it worries them. You know, they might even be scared of you when they go to the toilet, and then you end up with a dog that will hide it behind the sofa, you know, or underneath tables, or, you know, they might even try and eat their own poo and things like that to try and hide the toilet from you. And if you think that's not very nice, it's something they can't help doing. So what we want to do is, instead of punishing them for going to the toilet indoors, we're going to train them where we want them to go, and then we're going to reward them for it. Now, all dogs learn at different speeds. So the puppy that was completely housebroken a week after coming home is no more the normal than a dog that took 6 months. You know, they all come from different backgrounds, they all have different bodies with different bladders, with different food inside, with different energy levels, and, you know, they're just like human children, they're all completely different, so they learn at different speeds. A previously house-trained dog, if they start having accidents, that's quite unusual. A house-trained dog is usually house-trained for good, unless they're particularly stressed or they get locked in for too long a time or anything like that. So if they have accidents or they start to do it regularly, then you really ought to take them to see a vet, because there could be something going on like a urinary tract infection or something similar along those lines. Any behaviour change should always be seen by a vet. So to start your training, you're going to take your dog out a lot. When you first begin, you're going to take them out at least once every hour to an hour and a half. Plus, after food or drink, after waking up, after playtime or training, if your dog starts sniffing the ground and walking around quickly or circling, before and after time spent in a puppy pen or a crate, before bed, and while you're in bed, you're going to set an alarm to wake you up in the night at least once. This is to give your dog a best chance of staying dry through the night. Now, while you're out there, to encourage your dog to go to the toilet, first of all, you're going to take them out there on a lead. Now, the reason for this is if your dog having accidents in the house, and you, every time they're squatting for a wee, go running towards them, grab them, go running out the back door, and almost drop them on the ground with them weeing as you go, then first of all you're going to end up with wee just straight through your house, and secondly you're going to end up with a dog that's going to duck every time that you come towards them and they're on trying to go to the toilet, because no dog likes being grabbed. So if you can spot the signs and have them out there before they go to the toilet, then that's going to speed the process up for you a lot more. And plus, with them on the lead walking out there by themselves, then that's what they're practicing doing. So again, that will just speed it up even better. So take your dog out on a lead, don't just grab them and run. Okay. Now, when you get out there, you're not going to go out there and play with your dog. You're going to let them sniff around. You're going to give them 5 minutes, and if they go to the toilet, brilliant. If they don't, then you're going to bring them back in. You're not taking them out there to play. Now, the reason for that is because if every time your dog goes out the back door, and when he's out there, the first thing he sees is a ball, and then he sees a stick, and then he runs around, and then he gets the zoomies, and then you run around with him, then that's what he's going to go out there and do. Okay? So instead, you want him to go out there and go to the toilet. So that's what you're going to encourage him to do. So the rule is no playing until they've gone to the toilet, and if they don't go to the toilet, then you just bring them back in again. Now, try and lead your dog to the same spot in the garden, the reason being that the more they toilet in that same area, the more that area to them will smell of their toilet, and so that will give them a clue of what they're supposed to be doing and where. And as they practice going to the toilet in that area, all the other places in your garden where you don't want them to toilet will become less appealing to toilet on. So for the same reason, you don't want to be too quick to clean that area. You want all the smells from the pee and the poo to permeate into the ground, because you know, the stronger it smells for your dog, the more likely they are to go and toilet in that area. As your dog squats, you're going to cue go potty or go wee-wees, or whatever cue you want to use in the future. Then you're going to catch them in the act as they're doing it, and that's when you're going to say. So as soon as they squat down, you're going to say go wee-wees or go wee-wee potty, and as soon as they do and they've done, then you're going to reward them like, you know, chicken should rain from the sky to start with. It should be the best wee they've ever done. Now, for this reason, you've always got to go outside with them. Some people like to leave the back door open and then don't understand why the dogs are not getting toilet trained. And they'll think, well, they've got access to the toilet, so why aren't they going out there? Well, the reason is you need to be there when they go to the toilet in order to reward them for going to the toilet, because otherwise they'll come indoors and they'll get their reward and they won't know what it's for. So you need to be out there to catch every single toilet in progress, and then keep the door locked in between. That way you won't miss any. So if your dog toilets in the house, you're going to clean it up with a pet stain remover. You're going to say nothing, it's a non-event. We've talked already about what can happen if you punish your dog for toileting indoors. If they go outside, great. As they're toileting, you say go potty, or use whichever cue you're going to use to give them clues in the future. You mark enthusiastically and you give your dog something super yummy as a reward for being so clever. If you're away from home, then you're also going to use eco-friendly poo bags and you're going to put your poo in the bin. Puppy pads. It's up to you if you're going to use puppy pads in a crate or not. Now, puppy pads, if you're going to use them, the trouble is if you use them for too long, then your dog will become a habit to pee on the puppy pads, and then they will expect to pee on the puppy pads, and that kind of takes away from the idea that they should be peeing in the garden. Alright, so if you're going to use puppy pads, and by all means you can for a few days, you know, there's going to be puddles everywhere, you might as well soak them up with something. But what you want to do is as your puppy starts to practice going outside, you're going to start picking up the puppy pads, so there'll be one less every couple of days. So if you started with, say, 6 or 7 pads in your house, after a couple of days perhaps you should have 5 or 6. then after a few more days from that, 4 or 5. And you keep dwindling down and down and down until you have no pads left. And as you're doing this, you're going to start moving the pads towards the door, so that the puppy has to go towards the door to get to the pad to go to the toilet, because in that way they're going to be practicing going towards the door to get out to the toilet at the same time. So what will happen is you'll have a dog that starts naturally going towards the back door when they want the toilet. Crates can be useful overnight. Again, make sure your dog can stand up, turn around, have water in there. The reason they can be useful overnight is because dogs don't tend to enjoy sleeping near their toilet. If you think about it, you wouldn't want to either, would you? So by having them in a crate, it limits their options as to where they can go, so they tend to hold on to it. Now, for me personally, I would rather you woke up 2 or 3 times at night and took your dog out to the toilet, so that they're not forced into a situation where they're in a crate stuck with their own poo for hours on end, because that's not very nice. But again, crates, it's entirely up to you, and they can be very useful. Now, as I said before, be patient. All dogs take different amounts of time to be potty trained. Now, when you were little, it would have took you about 18 months to 2 years, and you have the gift of language, so you could ask to go to the toilet. People could ask you if you want to go to the toilet. Your dog doesn't have that, and you're expecting them to learn within a matter of weeks. So please be patient with them. Mark and reward lots and praise at every opportunity. The more consistent you are at catching them before they go to the toilet, taking them out and then rewarding them for doing it in the right place, the quicker that they will get the hang of it. And as they get the hang of it, you can then start to reduce the amount of time that you spend taking them outside. You know, if you're taking them out every hour to an hour and a half at first, and they start to become dry in the house and tidy, then you can start taking them out every hour and a half to 2 hours, and then eventually every 2.5 hours, and so on. Then you can maybe drop off one of the night toilets and things like that. So, you know, they'll start to settle themselves into a routine. But what I would ask you to do is never let your dog go more than 3 or 4 hours without having the opportunity to go out to the toilet. If you work full time and you're out for 8 hours, arrange for yourself or somebody to come in at lunchtime, because it's not healthy for a dog to have to wait and wait and wait and then be forced into a situation where they either have to pee the floor when they know that's not the place to do it, or make themselves ill with urinary tract infections and kidney problems and all sorts of other stuff from having to hold on too long. Now, I hope that this has helped you with your dog's potty training. If you need any further help, then of course you can always ask in the group, and I will see you in the next lesson.